Hello everyone, Professor MoneyPigTrading. Today is September 16, 2023. We're going to talk about why did Iovance Biotherapeutics, or IOVA, have a 27% sell-off in the past 2 days. It must be very frustrating for a lot of investors. Lots of things going on. Let's take a look at the September 2023 update. So if you look at the charts on the left, which is the 50-minute chart, Iovance hit the week high on Tuesday, 6.47. Starting Wednesday, things started to happen. The stock started to break below the $6 support, tank all the way to 5.5. On Thursday, something even unusual happened. The first 30 minutes after the market opened, it dropped from 5.5 to all-time low 4.41. Okay, that's very unusual, especially consider there's an FDA catalyst coming out on November 25th, 2023. The FDA potentially might approve their lifileucel T-cell therapy, the first T-cell therapy against solid tumor cancer. Like we have mentioned in the previous video, the link will be on the upper right corner. Okay, and what happened is every investor panicked. We got a lot of messages, what's going on? Like we honestly couldn't find out any news as well. We're this as confused as everyone else. Lots of speculation on the internet, right? And after the market hours on Thursday, the stock quickly jumped back up to almost $6 on opening on Friday and pulled back in the midday since the market has a general sell-off and general market weakness. After hours on Friday, the stock price pushed back from 5.3 to 5.8. Okay, lots of volatility. Everyone is speculating what was going on. So what happened is US FDA actually had an update on their PDUFA action date for lifileucel. So unfortunately, there's a delay of 90 days from the original November 25th, 2023 FDA decision date to February 24, 2024. Nothing wrong on the Iovance side, just because FDA is short of staffs. So they still said they might provide approval or rejection decision sooner than February 24, 2024. But this February 24 is the new deadline. Okay, and basically this is not a very good news. Any delayed, especially on this highly competitive oncology sector, is not a good news for Iovance. As we mentioned in the previous video, there Moderna competition, and we're going to mention more competition that has some update later in this video. However, the good news is right now we think the highest big risk is the manufacturer inspection, because this T-cell therapy manufacturing process is so complicated. However, FDA actually has done the inspection and found no issue, so we think that's a really, really big catalyst here that at least we think the biggest risk is off the table. And also FDA reaffirmed that there's still no AdCom meeting required, which is also a negative factor, that FDA will need a third-party expert opinion on this, but they don't require that. So we think there's two positive factors here. And FDA reaffirmed that there's no major issue, just they're short of staff, which I found very frustrating, to be honest. But what can we do, right? Government agency, they don't have enough staff, they don't have enough staffs. And what is the chance of this FDA PDUFA delayed? It's actually as low as 2%. We list this risk in the previous video, in the last few slides. If you go back, you will see we did mention FDA delay is an unusual case, but it still happened. Right, this is the FDA data back to 2021. You can see on the biological license application priority review, 51 on time, only one case was delayed, so it's as low as 2%, at least based on 2021 data. So unfortunately, this just happened on Iovance Biotherapeutics, which is not what we want to see, right? 3 months, more months of wait is excruciating. Any bad news, this stock got sell out really badly. Well, positive news, not much push, or even there's a push out, it don't hold, right? So we really need this approval for investor to see, a good event and catalyst to make the stock price higher. The patient also urgently need this last line medication against metastasis melanoma, right? So we definitely hope FDA will act sooner, but unfortunately, there's just a delay. And some followers actually reach out on social media. And what else does FDA still need, right? You finish all the inspection facility, inspection, right? Like what else? Basically, in the FDA BOA or regular drug approval decision, during the review, they actually review many things. Okay, they have to look at the clinical trial data. They have a different team looking at pharmacology, the chemistry, the manufacturer, which you cover, and also the proposed labeling. So a lot of application paperwork, different meetings to reach a conclusion whether this drug will get approval. Right now, even though the manufacturer we think is the biggest rig is off the table, there are still other meetings going on. We don't really know the details unless Iovance can share the details, like what are the pending items, right? But basically, a lot of things are going on, and that's why FDA said they need more time, okay? And basically, so right now, this melanoma, unfortunately, FDA approval decision is now moved. So that's the pipeline update for this Iovance. There are also some other updates on the cervical cancer and unsmall cell lung cancer. Let's also take a look. But before that, there's actually a massive insider institute purchase on September 15, 2023 that we have witnessed in the dark pool exchange. The first purchase is actually from Mr. Wayne. He's a legendary biotech investor. He actually is one of the largest shareholder of Iovance Biotherapeutics. He just bought another 5 million shares at $5.3 per share, and he's now holding 28% of Iovance shares. So this is a really, really strong support in our opinion. That is 5.3 is going to be a near-term bottom, and he does feel like Iovance Biotherapeutic is undervalued here, and we share the same thought. And there's a separated institute bought after the market hours, and they bought at 5.39. And we believe that is why after Friday market hours, the stock price pushed from 5.6 to 5.8. So this should provide a really strong support here, since there are about $8 million share being purchased on Friday from these whales. Okay, and the other update we're going to mention is the unsmall cancer lung, NSCLC. I forgot what's the abbreviation. Unsmall cell lung cancer. There's some bad news happened back to August 16. Is once this NSCLC Iovance therapeutic new clinical trial results released, the stock actually dropped from about 6.8 back down to 5.9. What happened over here is this cohort, patient 1 and patient 2, once released the clinical trial data, what happened is the number looks actually decent on the book. Is 47% of the patients had their tumor shrink. That's the Iovance LN145 as a first-line NSCLC treatment. However, what the market really worry is back to January this year, there's a clinical trial happening in Spain. Okay, not even in the United States. There's this drug plus this monoclonal antibody that's just abbreviated as A plus B, being in clinical trial as first-line NSCLC treatment, and it actually showed 42% of the patients had their tumor shrinked. So in comparison, yes, the T-cell therapeutic that Iovance developed does seem to work, but it's not significantly better, even though this is not an apple-to-apple comparison, because they have different patient profiles, different countries, and they don't even have the same drug overlap between two trials. There's no same control group as well. But still, the investor deemed like, okay, yes, this T-cell therapy from Iovance Biotherapeutics works, but it might not capture as the first line NSCLC, which is a huge market. So the long-term value of Iovance will be discounted, and that's why we see this sell off. Okay, but still, we still think Iovance is very bullish here, especially now the stock price is at 5. Okay, so the other pipeline is the cervical cancer pipeline might not get a priority review, which is also a little troublesome, and we haven't seen the market react to this one. So what happened is Iovance actually have a really good performance on their cervical cancer on this T-cell therapy, and we see 50% of overall response rate, which is really decent. There's a pivotal study going on that's still recruiting patients, and we might not get a clinical trial data until 2024 or 2025, okay? However, what happens, like we mentioned, this oncology is a highly competitive space, and there's a company called Siegen. They actually announced that the Tivdak, Tivdak, not sure how to pronounce it. This new drug might perform really well. Overall survival rate on their large number of patients, clinical stage 3 trial performs relatively well. So if they file the priority review against this metastasis cervical cancer using this small molecule, they have shown really decent numbers. Might not as good as Iovance T-cell therapy, but if they file the priority review first, then Iovance might not be able to file priority review for cervical cancer, right? So this is a big problem. Then that means Iovance will have to do a more completely phase 3 confirmatory trial, which might delay this cervical cancer launch maybe until 2026 or 2027. even though their therapy outperformed this TIFDAC from Siegen. So this is a little troublesome. However, Siegen right now hasn't released a lot of detailed numbers that we're still waiting to see, like whether it's really good data or just mediocre, slightly better than the existing treatment. We haven't seen a lot of details. Siegen's they said they will release more details, but at least in the past 12 days since September 4, we haven't seen anything. Okay, so I'm not going to judge much until we see the clinical trial details from Siegen. But that just as an Iovance investor, I think this is a thing you should know. Because of this competitive landscape and updates from competitors, we actually lowered the longer term valuation of Iovance, $10 lower until in 2024 second half and 2025. Okay. And also, because this FDA potential delay, we changed the price action best case 9.4, which is a range high, or 5.3 in this second half of 2023. And if FDA can approve lifileucel the first half of 2024, we still think Iovance's will be worth between $18 to $26. And if more clinical positive updates on the cervical cancer or head and neck cancer, we think Iovance might pop to $40 a share. Again, we talk about this slide in the last video. We'll put the link down below. But basically, Iovance, just looking at the melanoma itself, is undervalued because if they can approve, they provide 2,500 patients worth of treatment. We're looking at least $18 to $26 worth of valuation. So we still think at $5 a share is really a steal over here in our humble opinion. So we reaffirm Iovance target as $18 to $26 after lifileucel received FDA approval on metastasis melanoma. Our rating is still a strong buy over here. And just really quick, we mentioned this risk of investing in Iovance here, so feel free to take a look. And also, we want a disclaimer, really quick disclaimer, is we're holding Iovance stocks and long call options, and we do not represent any pharmaceutical company. Any medical question, please consult your doctors. We're not a financial advisor. Please invest at your own risks. And lastly, there are actually a lot of biotech stocks, and the best way to invest in this field is diversify your portfolio. So Iovance is one of the most promising one, we agree, but we by no means has no intention to make this YouTube video a channel as only about Iovance. We actually also diversify into many interesting small biotech and also other sectors like AI stock, technology stock that we're familiar with. So if you're interested in our Discord community, make sure to check us out on www.moneypigtrading.com. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, or MoneyPigTrading. Feel free to follow. Don't forget to like this video. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.